I'm good.
Give some donations?
Oh, yeah. Why, is there a long list?
No.
Yeah, I'm good.
Did you look? Had it for a week.
That's right.
Probably hats. We got it. Yep.
Yeah.
We're ahead of
I
you.
looked there the last Friday. Okay.
Somebody's as hot as
I
before.
want some go. Men's or anything?
Jeez.
Test, 1, 2.
That's all right.
Yeah.
We don't.
There's a little bit of feedback,
Oh, yeah.
maybe too loud.
Oh, yeah.
Now that it's, everything's on YouTube, it's a little late.
I know, right?
Getting that so bad tonight.
Yeah. We're getting some
Yeah.
feedback from
They're
somewhere.
a lot more accessible
She
than we
needs
used
to
to
turn
be.
down. That speaker's too close to that mic.
Yeah, it's Mark's.
Just blame Mark.
Way up.
We'll blame Mark.
Yeah. His usually is hot though.
What are you doing? I'm kidding. Is it magic?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I go last?
Certainly.
It's my last one.
Certainly.
Thank you.
It's not your last one.
Next month.
Oh,
last
this
one.
one? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you meant this one was. It's like, no,
No, we got one more.
you're not getting off that easy.
Can't talk.
4 years of fun is almost over.
It's been a rough day. It's been real.
That is a rough day.
I'm gonna treat it like my Academy Award.
He's looking at his phone. Make sure he starts on time.
Hey, I never say much.
She's late.
That's fast.
It is fast.
I know. I'll have a few people.
I have 1 minute.
Yeah.
You gonna come with an Academy Award dress?
Oh,
If you all will.
I don't know.
It's
Which
formal.
one?
Next week is next month is formal, Jerry. Next month is formal. Kidding. I'm gonna have the golf shirts.
No.
No.
Good evening. I call this regular meeting of the Fairborn City Schools Board of Education to order Thursday, November 2nd, 2017. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the roll, Mrs. Marshall.
Mr. Wilson?
Here.
Mrs. Mlad?
Here.
Mr. Browning?
Here.
Miss Luce? Here. Mr. McCourt?
here.
I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented with the addendum, which should be part of your handout as page 4.
So moved.
Thank you,
Second.
Mr. Browning. Thank you, Mr. McCourt.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion carries. Agenda is approved. We'll move on to item 5, the Superintendent's Report. Mr. North.
Thank you. We have some special guests here from Fairborn's primary school. Linda, would you want to go ahead and take your guest up front?
How are you?
Hi.
a
Jerry.
microphone?
You want, yeah.
Hi, we are students of Fairborn Elementary School. My name is Ava Miller. Hi, my name is Frank Mina. My name is Rebecca Shimington. Every year we welcome families of Fairborn Primary School to do some fun learning activities with the teachers. This year, Family Night will be on Thursday, December 14th. It's from 6 to 8 in the evening. Hope to see you there. We have a lot of fun activities such as a book walk and math game, people reading books to us, word bingo, making fun crafts, making books that we get to keep, seeing the Grinch. We have a special guest that we get to meet too, Santa. We also have mini book fairs with we get to buy books, and to top it off, we even get a cookie from Santa's Happers. We would like to invite you to come join us on December 14th for a great time at our family night from 6 to 8. Hope to see you there.
Great job.
Thank you. Thank you.
I will definitely be there.
Thank you, there you go.
Shake your hand.
Thank you. Thank you, Ava.
Well, they're all running around right here. That's all right. Hopefully. No, okay.
All right, we also have Dottie and Eric from the Fairborn Digital Academy, and go ahead and follow that with an annual report.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It was a hard act to follow. I can get on my knees. Would that help?
Can I give you a microphone? Because it records. We're recording.
You're recording me? Oh,
Yeah.
all right. That's good. I am Dottie Mead. I'm the Executive Director at Fairborn Digital Academy, and I am here just to give you a quick update, a report on some of the things that are happening at Fairborn Digital Academy right now. We are currently working on the annual report and the sponsor evaluation report, and you will have those on the agenda for the December meeting, but I wanted to give you some of the data and the information. Eric's going to talk briefly in a little bit about, excuse me, about the report card that we received, which is one of the 3 ways that Fairborn City Schools are judged as a sponsor for Fairborn Digital Academy. We are about ready to have a celebration. November 14th, 2002, Fairborn Digital Academy and Fairborn City Schools started their partnership. 15 years. If you look around the state of Ohio, there are not very many conversion schools that have been as successful and have graduated as many students as Fairborn Digital Academy has, and the partnership that we've developed over those 15 years. So after Eric talks about the report card in a little bit, I will invite you all to a party that we're having, a little celebration. Before that, though, we currently have around 200 students. It varies from day to day. Eric had to come. He almost didn't make it here in time because he was meeting with a parent of a new potential student. It's the end of the first quarter, and students are saying, wait a minute, I failed all my classes. I think I better think about an alternative option for graduation. So he's meeting with students about every day for some possible new students that we have. We had last year around 300 students who walked through the doors of Fairborn Digital Academy, whether it was for 1 credit or for all 4 years of their high school education. We do have 2 graduations each year. We graduate in January and June. Of those 200 students that are with us for the entire year or for the greatest part of the year, we graduate right around 50 every year if you combine our January and our June graduations. Our staff is hired through the Greene County ESC. We do have just about everyone in the building is a certified teacher. We do have a few people who work with students in different ways that are not certified, but the students who work with them directly on their curriculum and help them to do their intervention are certified teachers, but they are hired through Greene County Career Center or Greene County ESC. This is new for them. Prior to this year, we had worked with Montgomery County ESC. We are always looking for new curriculum. We currently use GradPoint, A+. We have several different curriculums we are using and we're investigating because we want to keep it rigorous. We don't want our students to be able to sit there and do it in just a couple of hours because it's so easy or because it's something that's not difficult or rigorous enough for them to be challenged by it. We want our students, when they graduate, to be able to go on into the world and find jobs and go on to college and do the things that all students want to do in spite of what handicaps they might have while they're in high school. We've been working really hard since 2015. Bob Grimshaw, for those of you who knew Bob Grimshaw, he was here for a long time, started the school in 2002, and then left and said, you're just going to love this job. And then House Bill 2 came along, and then the sponsor evaluations came along, and so we have been really busy working with Gary Walker, Jean Lawley, Ed Gibbons, Rick Taylor, Sue Brackenhoff as our sponsor oversight committee, helping us to make sure that we are doing all the things that we need to do to meet compliance with Ohio Department of Education. It was kind of funny when we first started this whole evaluation thing 2 years ago. Gary and Ed and I used to sit around the table and go, but we're 2.5 miles away from each other. We see each other on a regular basis. We pick up the phone, and so we have learned over the last 2 years that we need to document every time we talk and every time we see each other. And so we're starting to get that together, and we actually moved from an ineffective rating last year. Fairborn City Schools, our sponsor, in 15-16 to an effective rating for the 16-17 school year, and our goal is to be exemplary by next year. Okay, let me turn this over to Eric to talk about the report card.
Hi, I'm Eric Trich. I'm the principal at the Fairborn Digital Academy. As you know, every school is given a report card every year, and so as a dropout recovery school, our report card looks a little bit different than what the Fairborn High School report card looks like. So for us, we have about, 9 categories that we are ranked on. The first one is our high school test passage rate. We exceeded standards in that. We passed with 92.9% of our students passed their high school graduation tests. We are also graded on gap closing, and so that compares last year's class with this year's class. In that category, we met standards at a 33.3. We are also graded on something called progress, and in that we have a test that we have to give all of our students at the beginning of the school year, and then we test them again at the end of the school year, and it's to see whether or not feedback. That's to see whether or not the students have made the progress that the state says that the students are supposed to meet every year. And we met standards in that category as well. We are then also graded on our 4-year, 5-year, 6-year, 7-year, 8-year, and a combined of all of those graduation rates. We exceeded standards in the 5, 6, 7, 8 in combined categories, and we met in the 4-year category. So we are definitely going to have to pick that cohort up and make sure that we graduate many more of them this year. That gave us an overall rating of exceed standards. Of the 88 dropout recovery schools in the state of Ohio, only 8 had an overall category of exceed standards. So we were, again, in the top category, in the top tier of dropout recovery schools in the state of Ohio. And that's part of being a part of the team that works together here with Fairborn City Schools and Fairborn Digital Academy. So I want to thank you all for giving us the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I forgot to mention Brian Jettinghoff. Brian is the one who uploads everything that we do into the Epicenter, so if it weren't for Brian... Oh, I know. But he is the one who makes sure that we meet on a regular basis, make sure that we're organized and get our information ready to be sent in. So if it weren't for Brian, I apologize that I didn't mention his name. So I'm going to hand your mic back to you, and I am going to hand each of you an invitation, and then if there are any questions about anything that we've shared, we certainly would be open to your questions. Thank you.
How is all of this stuff with ECOT and stuff affecting the rest of the charter schools and stuff?
There's a lot of things happening with ECOT that we have to do because they're trying to catch ECOT. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it does.
all of House Bill 2 and the things that we're jumping through and the hurdles that we're doing are so that they can figure out a way to find out what ECOT's doing that they shouldn't be doing or that's against the ethical standards. And so as a result, we've worked very different over the last couple of years, trying to maintain a building in a district and trying to do what's right for kids. Is that what you want? I mean,
Yeah.
I can go into a lot more detail.
No,
but-
no, we don't need that.
No. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you all on the 14th. Happy anniversary.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for all the work and all that you do for the students at risk in the Fairborn and Greene County areas.
Next on the agenda, I've asked Dr. Brackenhoff and Ms. Gayhart to make a presentation regarding somewhat recent legislation changes in graduation requirements. Our legislators have once again made modifications to what students need to do in order to be certified to graduate from high school. This most recent changes has created quite a controversy because the most recent projections now, statewide average, is that 25% of our seniors will not graduate from high school this year.
That's statewide.
That's statewide, and that's a staggering number when you start talking. You know, I find it amazing from some of our major news media resources that report that projections are better than first expected, and that 75% will pass. Like that's a good thing. It's staggering, and so I've asked Sue and Amy to talk a little bit tonight and share with you what it is that's expected for a senior to graduate, and those standards that we see this year will continue to increase. This is just the first step. So I've asked them to come tonight to prepare the board and let the board know the communications that's going to be going out to the parents here quickly, and talk to them about what it is that seniors will have to do in order to graduate. Also to share with you a timeline of communications, because we're going to be talking with parents frequently this year. It's not going to be a one and done letter, but we will be constantly communicating with parents. And we also will be putting support systems in place to help the number of students that are in danger of graduating, because right now at Fairborn City Schools, the projected number of students that are not eligible to graduate at this point matches the state average of 25%. So we have a lot of work to do. Our students have a lot of work to do. Their parents have a lot of work to do. And if we all do it together, we can reduce that number significantly. And Sue and Amy now is going to talk about what our plans are to try to change that.
Amy's going to give you the details on the graduation requirements, but I'm going to give you just a little insight in behind the scenes. With these increased requirements for graduation, we also came with end-of-course tests for our high school students. And the process that the high school has to go through to ensure that every student takes all 7 required tests and that they score a certain score on those and have many opportunities to retake those is a feat in itself. They do not start their testing until December, and they started in August trying to organize the database that will give them the information they need to ensure that every student has every opportunity for success. In addition to that, the high school has spent a tremendous amount of time in planning how they are going to implement these new graduation requirements, as well as an intervention or a personalized graduation plan for every student that may be in jeopardy of not meeting the requirements. Amy?
I'm going to take this out just so I can move around a little bit. Good evening. So our requirements for graduation are that all students have to complete 21 course credits. They have to take the 7 required state tests, 2 in English, 2 in math, 2 in social studies, and 1 in science. And then the state rolled out 3 options that students have to complete at their choice. The first one is on those 7 tests, they have to earn a total of 18 points, and within each subcategory, the English, the math, the science, and social studies combined, they have to have a minimum score. Or they can earn a college readiness score on a national test, and for the state of Ohio, they have selected the ACT test, and all students take that as a junior, courtesy of the state of Ohio. And then their third option is that they can earn an industry certification and work readiness score on work keys, and that is done through a career technical center. For our students, that would be through the Greene County Career Center. This year, the state rolled out an alternate pathway to graduation, only applicable to the class of 2018 at this time. So if a student does not meet one of those 3 options that I just went through, they have some additional choices that they can complete in order to qualify for graduation. So at Fairborn High School right now, out of our 228 seniors in the class of 2018, we have 57 who are in danger of not graduating because they have not met the 18 points on the end of course tests. That's about 25% of our senior class population, as Mr. North pointed out, and this matches with the state analysis that they did, you know, across all of Ohio, that says basically 25% of seniors right now are not in a position to graduate based on the original criteria. Breaking it down a little further, we have 32 seniors, I'm sorry, 57 altogether, 32 who don't have the 18 points and 15 who have 18 points, but they haven't met the subcategory minimums in the math, the English, or the science social studies combined. These students have been offered an EOC remediation class, which is run through this first semester leading up to the retesting date in December. And then in addition, we're going to offer some tutoring through the month of November. With some students, they just couldn't fit that EOC remediation into their class, or they needed all 7 credits otherwise that are required within that 21-point requirement. And so we're going to get them the support that they need prior to retaking those tests in December. We have 48 students who attend the Greene County Career Center who have not yet earned 18 points on these EOC tests, and we have been in continual communication over these past few weeks to find out what their alternate pathway was going to be and what they are doing to work with our students. Their interventions are more online program-based and tutoring-based, but they have their own plan for how they're working with those Fairborn students to make sure that they get to graduation. Kind of on a side note, just a little bit, even breaking it down further to give you some more information, we have 13 seniors right now who have between 0.5 and 3 credits deficiency that they need to graduate, and that's in addition to passing the 7 courses that they're currently enrolled in. And we have 9 seniors who have to pass absolutely everything, and they will make it through with the exact 21 credits that they need to graduate. So we are getting ready to roll out an online credit recovery program, and we will utilize that to help the students who are both deficient or who may fall behind over the course of the year. And for any student who, possibly they run it right up till the end of the year and they end up maybe failing a class, they're one of those 9 who don't pass it, those online options can be utilized in the summer as well. And we have 8 students who are fall in both credit deficiency category and in the category of not having enough points at this time on the EOC test to graduate. So we have a pretty exact list. We have a test coordinator who's been working diligently over, especially this past week. She has been at it since August, but this past week we really dug in our heels so that we know specifically where each and every student stands, because testing is approaching and we need to make sure that parents and students know that information. For the students who may need to retake a test, that will happen in December, and the students have the option to take any test in which they score below proficient. The tests are scored on a 5-point scale, and a 3 or higher would be considered proficient. Students must retake 1 or more of the state tests if they've taken all 7 of them but have not reached the 18 points needed for graduation, or if they are deficient in any subcategory. And that is our hope, is that through these EOC remediation classes and through the after-school tutoring that we're going to do, that we can get the students to the 18-point mark and meet all of their subcategory minimums, and they will qualify through graduation, for graduation through that route. If not, the alternate pathway for graduation will kick in, and it's got its own set of requirements, but students must retake the ELA or the math tests that they may have only scored a 1 or 2 on at least 1 time. So they have to have at least 2 attempts trying to take those tests. So here's kind of what we've been doing and what we plan to do. The FHS counselors spent the month of October having individualized meetings with our seniors, so they knew where they stood credit-wise, they knew testing-wise where they stood. We are getting ready to send out EOC testing notifications to sophomores, juniors, and seniors, because our incoming freshmen have not taken these tests except for a very, very small number who may have taken algebra in 8th grade because they were advanced in math. Along with that, we will notify students and parents of who needs to pursue the alternate pathway, and we will be having meetings with those students and parents to make sure that they understand what are the requirements of that pathway. Alternate pathway for graduation contracts will be due by December 1st. And again, this is just so that we know everybody is on the same page and they fully understand what needs to be completed. And counselors and administrators will be checking in on those weekly. We will retest in early December. Those scores come back in February, and that's the point when we hope that a lot of the seniors can breathe a sigh of relief, because they will have met the 18 points in the subcategory minimums. And then if not, and they do have to finish out the alternate pathway, those requirements will need to be done between May 1st and May 20, depending on what the requirement was that they chose to fulfill. So we are, of course, very in tune as to what our seniors' needs are and what parents need to know, what students need to know. We're trying very hard to get everyone to graduation. I tell students on a daily basis, I want to see you in May at the Nutter Center, and we all need to be working together to make sure that happens. And so we will just continue to work with our seniors and our parents as the year progresses. Does anybody have any questions?
Amy, take a moment to talk about the frequency and the timeline that you'll be communicating with parents as the school year continues.
Right. So we will check in with parents on a weekly basis. For example, one of the alternate pathway options is that you have to have a certain attendance rate. And so if we're not staying up on that, a student could very easily dip below that attendance rate and exempt themselves from being able to use that option. Another one is that they have to have a certain GPA. So again, it's very important that everyone knows exactly, what grades that the student is earning, and that we're not falling out of those guidelines that's going to get them the GPA that they need over the course of the year. One of the options is a capstone project, and the student will be assigned a faculty mentor who will check in with that student on a weekly basis to make sure that they are completing the requirements of that project, if they choose to go with that option. Does that answer your question? Any other questions?
I don't have a question, it's just a comment. To me, it's really important that we understand we have a problem, which you do, the way you outlined it, and then have a timeline to fix it, and then the communication is extremely important. So it's a good approach. I think it looks good to fix the problem.
We definitely don't want any surprises come May. That's not fun for anybody. So the more clear that we can make it and the more open the lines of communication is going to benefit everyone.
And as we talked about, trying to develop a personalized graduation plan for every student, when we look at some of the options on the alternate pathway, that's where that personalization comes in, because we're going to be looking at a student's history, both academically, their attendance, and their strengths and weaknesses, and try to guide them into selecting one of those pathways that we feel certain that they will be successful in. So all focus is going to be individualized and communicated to parents.
What about next year's class?
That's a good question. We don't know. I mean, we have the regular graduation requirements. This alternate pathway, it has just been designated for the class of 2018. And that has been fairly recently. We won't know about the class of 2019 until probably we start the 2018-19 school year. I'm going to go ahead and stand up here. That's right. Yes. Yeah, gone are those days.
And last, certainly not least, we also would like to recognize Baker Middle School this evening for their Bronze Award regarding the PBIS program, and Dr. Brackenhoff is going to take a moment to explain what this program is about and this award.
So now for a more positive note than possibly graduation. Baker Middle School is our exemplar school in the district for leading the cause for the PBIS program. Over the past school year, each of the schools had a team of teachers that were trained in PBIS, which stands for Positive Behavioral Interventions and Supports. And they have developed school plans so that we can create an atmosphere that is more supportive of students, and that it is a kinder and a better place for all of us to teach and to learn. So each of those schools' plans started this year, but Baker Middle School started 3 years ago, and as a result of that, their efforts were recognized this year as one of 87 schools in the state to receive a bronze level award for PBIS. And we expect, as we continue forward in the program, that they will be the first in our district to receive a silver and then a gold award. So I'm going to invite Mr. Brad Holt up here to talk a little bit about PBIS at Baker Middle School and the work that his team has been doing. Okay.
Do I have to have a microphone, or can everybody hear me?
You need a microphone.
have to have a microphone.
For recording.
We can hear you. You have to have a microphone.
Well, good evening, everybody. And again, thank you to the Board of Education and Mr. North for the opportunity to come here and talk about the awesome program that we have at Baker Middle School. Dr. Brackenhoff started this off, and, you know, I would be remiss if I stood before you tonight and I didn't recognize some people because, you know, when I was hired into this job, you inherit some things. Some for the good, some for the bad. This is awesome right here. Okay, so I wanted to make sure that I recognize Deb Hallberg and Andrea Ferguson. They did a tremendous job over the past 3 years of getting this program up and running. In my 20 years of education and my 12 years in administration, I have never been a part of a committee or a team like we have with the PBIS team. As a matter of fact, we just met yesterday, and the motivation and the programs that we're able to provide not only Baker Middle School students, but it's going to benefit, you know, Fairborn City Schools and the entire community. Our staff has bought into it, our students have bought into it, and with a collective effort, the award that we are going to be receiving, it's just it's a testament to all of the hard work that everybody's done over the past 3 years. So what I would like to do is, well, let me hold this up first. And we're waiting for these to be printed, and these are going to be adorned all over our building. We're going to put one on the outside of the building, and then we are going to put one of these on the east side and one of these on the Baker side. And again, this is our bronze award. We should have these off the print here within the next couple of weeks. But we also received a special designation from the state of Ohio, and I would like to read that now. This is from the Ohio PBS Awards Program from the Ohio PBS Network from the state of Ohio, ODE. Baker Middle School has been recognized for their success with positive behavior, interventions, and supports. PBIS involves teaching students expectations behaviors in a consistent and positive way, modeling and acknowledging those behaviors, and helping all students meet expectations and be successful. PBIS has shown to improve student achievement, student behavior, and school climate. In 2015, Ohio first recognized schools who are model examples of strong PBIS. In 2017, Baker Middle School received the bronze level. And they earned the in 2017, Baker Middle School applied, and they earned the recognition of bronze level. We are one of the 88 award-winning schools to be recognized of this distinction, and one of 110 schools to be recognized at any level, whether it be gold, silver, or bronze. Baker Middle School will be honored at the 2017 Ohio PBIS Showcase in Mansfield, Ohio at the end of this month. So like I said, this is a great program. It's the pillar, it's the foundation, it's the expectation, it's the modeling, it's the collective effort of not only, you know, the administration, the teachers, but the students buy into it as well. And it sets up a lot of different programs and a lot of things that we're able to offer our students. This is a fabulous program, and Baker Middle School, again, it's the hallmark of the Fairborn City Schools, and as you can see here, it's one of the hallmarks in the state of Ohio. This is huge for us.
One of the other things I wanted to point out, this is a committee that Mr. Walker and I share together. As Student Services Director, he often sees students who are having difficulty with their behavior choices. And one thing that we have seen with PBIS over several years at Baker Middle School, but even more recently with each of the other buildings, is a decrease in out-of-school suspensions. And what is great about this program is that the teachers look at behavior data, and they are owning their role in trying to change the atmosphere in the school, both in the way they respond to it and the way they model. There is active, direct teaching on the skills that we want to see in the hallways, in the lunchroom, in the classroom, and that directly impacts the choices kids make, and as a result has reduced the behavior problems we have seen. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I might add that for those in the audience that are unfamiliar with how many school districts there are in Ohio, there are 611 or 612 public school districts in Ohio. So
put it in better
Good
perspective.
accomplishment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Very impressive.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
One other item I have for the board tonight is just an update on our policies, as the board is very well aware of this because you were involved with it from the ground floor. We switched over and we revised our entire policy manual several months ago, and as promised, we would continuously revisit the policy and keep it updated and revised to coincide with changes in Ohio Revised Code. So today, Norm Burkhart from Neola, who is the company that works with us, met with several administrators throughout the day, and we worked on those revisions so that we will have those in front of the board for first reading in December and a second reading and vote in January. That's all I have for the superintendent's report.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to recognition of visitors. If there's anyone that wishes to address the board, please step up to the microphone at the podium, state your name and address and purpose for addressing the board, and limit your comments to 5 minutes. We allow a total of 30 minutes for this. City Council update?
Hi, Marilyn.
Yes, I just wanted to bring greetings from City Council and the city. We're very excited right now. Hopefully you've seen many of the announcements, what's going on in the city. There's several things that we haven't announced yet. There's things going on Commerce Boulevard, Dayton Yellow Springs Road, more businesses looking at coming in. Downtown's just popping all over the place. And one area that hasn't been announced yet, but it's not a secret necessarily, is there is a pharmaceutical company moving here from Arizona. They used to be in the Dayton area, and they're coming back. And they chose to come to Fairborn. I don't know if you've seen the big walls going up on Spangler Road. That was good news. Hopefully you've all heard what that is now.
Yes.
And so there's just a lot of things happening, and we're really excited, and I know it's taken the whole town to make it happen. So just enjoy it with us because it's going to benefit everybody, and there's still more new housing stock being planned, which means more students for the schools, so be ready. And we're just really excited what's going on in our town, both city and schools. Thank you.
Marilyn, with the venture on Spangler Road, for maybe some who don't know, this is the Pepsi-Cola company coming to Fairborn, is that correct?
Right.
Yeah, okay.
They're consolidating their operations in Springfield and Dayton and bringing it to Fairborn.
Great.
Awesome.
Exciting stuff. Thank you, Marilyn.
Hi, my name is David Jenkins, 405 Whitesell Way. I was just, I guess, concerned, okay? And I just don't know if the board can do anything about this with our school district or help out in any way. On Friday the 27th, my wife was assaulted in a class. I'm concerned that this wasn't reported at all to the admin of the high school. It's been brushed under the rug trying to, when I called, my wife called me about an hour after it happened saying, I can't drive home, I need you to come and get me. What had happened was a student in the class picked up a bottle of cologne that he brought to school and said, I don't effing care if you have asthma, and sprayed it in the class. He then proceeded to try to take the bottle and break the bottle and said, I'm going to kill you with this. He gets a 2-day suspension, well, came back, I guess, today. So, and he's allowed back in the class. If this was any other class, any other whatever, why is he still in this school district? Obviously, this affects me because it's my wife and I'm emotional, I'm sorry. But I just don't agree that a student who's showing violent behavior in a class should be allowed back in. If I had known he was going to be back in, I would have pressed charges on Friday with Officer Hearn, had him arrested on Friday for assault. So it happens again, it will be assault. no doubt about it. 100% off, 100% charges filed. So I don't know what the board can do to ensure that the staff members are being protected and safe in an environment, because nobody should have to come to work fearing that a student is going to go off and kill them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name's Joanne Collins. I'm 173 Erie. We just celebrated our 50th class reunion. Graduate of Fairborn, been a long-time member of Fairborn, grew up. I just wanted, a lot of times things happen. People get upset about different things, but our generation doesn't have to deal with the drug situation, the violence, and the terror that's going on in the generation our children are. I think our schools and our teachers are very caring and concerned, and they try the best they can. I was a teacher's aide for special needs children. I see what they do and how hard they work. I was very impressed and proud that all of our teachers are really bending over backwards to make sure our kids get the education they really need and try to get them out there. Some of the teachers came to the senior center when we were there asking for tutor help. If the seniors had somebody that they would help administer tutoring for the younger students. I think that's commendable, and I appreciate that the students are getting the help they need and the teachers care and go that extra mile. One of the suggestions I would like to make is going through kids programs, youth group, and our Sunday school and stuff. We had what we called Big Brother, Big Sister. Same thing with swim team. We took the older kids because there was such an age gap, and took the younger kids, and we give them a buddy. And that buddy was to give them encouragement, to help them school them and get them along. Maybe if you can't get enough seniors or people to help tutor, maybe we could work with the classrooms in the high school, getting them a big buddy for the, to be for the children in the elementary. And the kids in the high school might be able to work with Wright State College. And maybe they would want to do something. Because if you find that you give back to somebody and you help, it not only helps the person you are dealing with, but it gives you that warm and fuzzy feeling that volunteerism is. And I think that's awesome. One more thing, humble and kind. I did notice that you guys do a lot of appreciation, stuff like that, and Texas Roadhouse apparently has been very supportive at the home games, and he doesn't know I'm doing this. But it would be nice, I think, because he is so supportive. He does care. He's got 3 girls of his own, not going to our school, but he loves children and everything. Maybe we could surprise him and maybe have a spirit night at Texas Roadhouse in appreciation for what he does and any other businesses that support us. So thank you for your time. I did not bring steak or donuts, but I do bring trick-or-treat candy.
Thank
leave you with
Thank
sweet
you.
thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne.
Anyone else? Okay. Seeing no one, we'll close recognition of visitors. Move on to item 7, approve the minutes of the October 5th regular meeting and the October 26th special meeting. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Browning.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Luce. Any discussion, comments, corrections?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion carries. Move on to item 8, the treasurer's report. Mrs. Marshall.
This month, we're going to be going over September. This will be quick. Sorry. I feel bad everybody has to get up and come around. So month end, September 30th. When we compare September this year compared to the same time last year, Total revenues were up by about 1.3 million. Most of this is due to our homestead and rollback reimbursement timing at the state of when that was received. So not a lot of difference there. It's mostly just due to timing. Overall, this is the forecast that was approved back in May. So the board approved a new forecast in October, and next month's report will have the updated forecast numbers for that. But based on that forecast, we had received 35.10% of the total amount forecast to be received for the year. Overall expenditures were up by about $691,000. Again, a lot of that's due to timing. With the capital outlay, we had a lot of big expenditures in July and August, so that's all up. We had spent 25.46% of the total forecast amount. Again, those numbers will be updated in October. In cash, we had 26.1 million. We had outstanding encumbrances of 7.2 million, with an unencumbered balance of about 18.9 million. And this is just a running total of our cash balances for the year compared to the same time last year. As of September 30th, we had about 2.5 million in average monthly expenses for salaries and benefits, a little over 1.3 million for everything else. And we had 327 certified employees and 251 classified employees. And this is a schedule of investments. Not a lot of changes from last month with that. So we have our regular operating accounts and then our bond funds that are invested on the next page. This is the monthly cash reconciliation. One of these days I'm going to fix this, I swear. We reconciled to zero, so that's what we like to see. And that's all I have. Any questions from the board?
Thank you, Mrs. Marshall. We'll move on to item 9, the consent agenda, which is short this month. So, I have a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Malad.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. McCourt. Any discussions, comments, questions?
I'll just mention that it's short because we put a lot of stuff on the special agenda.
Right.
I mean, we were busy during the month.
Yeah, that's right.
Anybody else? Okay, we'll call the roll, please.
Mrs. Malad?
Yes.
Mr. McCourt?
Yes.
Ms. Luce?
Yes.
Mr. Browning?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes, motion carries. Item 10, the treasurer's report. Approve the September financial report, the permanent appropriation modification, and disposal of fixed assets, a microwave oven. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Browning. I'll second. Any discussion, comments?
I'll just mention we have a couple small modifications to the appropriations for the student activities and the district activity accounts. We did get a donation in our athletic fund, which is what's causing the change in that we weren't anticipating. And student activities, they adjust their budgets throughout the year.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, call the roll, please.
Mr. Browning?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Luce?
Yes.
Mr. McCourt?
Yes.
Mrs. Malad?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 11, gifts and donations. Mr. McCourt.
Oh, thank you. Gifts and donations, again, monthly, we see this list, and a lot of people giving a lot of good time, money, and other things to us. But the list, Sue Waite, the Hoyer lift for the Special Education Department, valued at $100. Andrew Shope, Toko books, $2,400 books, or 2,400 books for Fairborn Primary and Fairborn Intermediate, valued at $4,460. Carl Welton, $100 for the athletic department for the Ackerman Relays. The Hildegard Harrison Estate, $5,047 to the athletic department. Kelsey Connolly, Dreaming Tree Films, $300 to FHS for technology use. The Dayton Prospects Baseball Club, $4,250 for the athletic department to pay for the artificial turf for the baseball field. And of course, our own Skyhawk Athletic Club, the same amount of $4,250 for that same project. Once again, we thank each and every one of them for their donations, and we do appreciate them.
Okay. May I have a motion?
I'll move.
Thank you, Mr. McCourt.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Browning. Any additional comments?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion carries. Move on to item 12, new business. Approve the master supply agreement with Southwestern Ohio Educational Purchasing Council. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Browning.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. McCourt. Any discussion, comments?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's, yeah, the agreement is for the natural gas supplier, I
Right.
believe.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. This is Mr. Lawley's thing, sorry. He's on vacation.
Okay. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Browning?
Yes.
Mr. McCourt?
Yes.
Ms. Luce?
Yes.
Mrs. Milan?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes, motion carries. And we have the addendum item under new business, approve the standards maintenance agreement with Greene County Career Center. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Browning. Thank you, Ms. Luce. Any comments?
This is for our classes that are offered at the high school through the Career Center. And this is
Okay.
just basically getting us on the same page for the standards.
Okay. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Browning?
Yes.
Ms. Luce?
Yes.
Mr. McCourt?
Yes.
Mrs. Milan?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes, motion carries. We'll move on to member reports and good of the order. Ms. Luce? Put you first this month.
First this month? I don't have a lot to add. It's been a really busy month. You can see all kinds of things are going on. We've had the end of our football season. We've had our parent-teacher conferences, and something that's a lot of fun for us was we had the Student of the Quarter. That's something we really enjoy, where we recognize some of our outstanding students in each building, along with some of our faculty members, and we look forward to that every quarter. We have another one coming up in December, so look forward to that. That's it.
Okay, Mr. McCourt.
First of all, and I think most importantly, when I came on this board, I made a pledge that whenever we had people coming with concerns to the board, that one of the board members would take that concern and do some investigating and report back to the individual who voiced their concern about this. To you, Mr. Jenkins, know that I will take on this project and investigate. We don't want to sweep anything under the rug, and I don't think that's happened, but we'll look into this, and I promise you I'll get back with you on it. On the brighter side, NHS program last night, and I'd like to thank Amy Gayhart. Great program. She had a speech herself, which I really enjoyed, and it just showed that Mrs. Gayhart, really cares about her students here at the high school. I know a lot of thought went into her talk, and was one of the big highlights of the program. And I know we've already talked about taking a good program like this, and I think we always want to take a look at it, see where we may be able to tweak it. maybe make it better, and I know Mrs. Gayhart is, seemed to be very open to that. The Halloween Fest downtown, great night down there. A lot of people. But the football game, our victory against Xenia the other night in what was a more than a pouring rain, but a lot of wet bodies flying around out there. But it was a good victory. I personally looking forward to basketball starting up. I did stop by the primary office or the primary school today, in that I got a call last week from a graduate looking for some Park Hill stuff. So I stopped by there, and the people over there even fed me a nice ham and cheese on a pretzel roll. So I was very glad to stop by and get fed lunch. But also at the central office, I'd like to thank Tammy Bird and Barb Woods, some of the people I know that were involved in a lot of the information that the board have been getting. Tammy's kind of putting together our books for board nights. Barb Woods has done a tremendous job getting together a district-wide directory for us, and I certainly appreciate that. Students tonight here for credit. We always enjoy our students coming to the board meeting, but gentlemen, and I see all the ladies left you, but we appreciate you being here, and thank you so much. And of course, thanks to the newspaper for your coverage. We appreciate you all being here.
Mr. Browning.
Okay. The first thing was got the pleasure of going to the Fall Strings concert on the 24th, and that was 7th grade through 12th grade. And the thing that's really neat is looking at the progress of those kids from 7th grade through 12th grade and the improvement. And I wanted to thank Amy Whitehill and Janelle Finley. She's working with Amy this year on everything they do with those kids and what they teach them, because it's obvious that they're learning as they go through those years. Everybody's commenting about the football team. The strong finish, 2 games, West Carrollton and Xenia, and like Pat said, it was a pouring rain, and we had quite a few fans that stuck out there under their umbrella rooting them on for a strong finish, which was pretty neat to see. The band at Mason, the band was 3rd overall, and we got best percussion. And this Saturday, we're going to be at the MSBA finals. Another good day. It's midday, like 1:45 is when our band performs, and then hopefully later in the day as we advance to the finals. And then the big event is Friday, November 10th, which is the BOA Bands of America Grand Nationals. That's at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indy, so that's a big deal. There's like 90-some bands from around the United States that get to go to that, so it's really neat that we get to go. And I got to say that last year there, a number of people commented that our band was the best behaved band that they saw, which says a lot for our students. And then the final thing is the Skyhawk Athletic Club Gala is also that same night, November 10th. That's a big fundraiser for our athletic program, so anybody that can go to that. It's a neat night. There's a lot of auctions and those kind of things, and well attended last year, and it'd be good for everybody to go this year. Thanks.
Mrs. Malad.
The week after our last meeting, I got to go to the Southwest OSBA regional conference that was held down at Great Oaks Career Center in Cincinnati for all the Southwest boards of education, and we had the privilege of one of our Fairborn programs being honored. Pam Gayhart had nominated, right? Ernie Sheeler's chess club program at the primary building, they've got up to about 40 kids now that they are taking through learning the rigors of chess, and there are a couple gentlemen who work in the community that have joined them in that endeavor, and they're noticing great advances in math scores and improvements on the playground and all these really wonderful kickback things that you wouldn't think would come from playing chess, but kids are being able to talk through their problems, and they're strategizing how to get through stuff that's going on in the classroom, and teachers are just noticing a really, really great improvement from the kids that are doing that. So unfortunately, they didn't spend a lot of time talking about that at OSBA, because they like to talk about themselves.
For hours and hours.
Hours and hours. But I was glad that I got to sit at and have dinner with these gentlemen and hear about what they've done and the improvements that it's done at the school, and that was the big win. So congratulations to them. They were honored as a new program for Southwest Regional Boards, and yeah, so that was great. So thank you to Pam for coming down, and Val Herdman from the primary building, as well as Mr. Sheeler and the gentlemen who are doing the program with him. So it's a good experience.
Okay. All right. Not a bunch to add. I attended the strings concert and enjoyed that. It's, you know, the music programs are something near and dear to my heart. Also the NHS induction, and what was particularly touching about that is the things that the students were saying about the teachers that they chose to pin them. It's obvious that we have a large number of very dedicated teachers that really care about the students in the district here, and that extends all the way from the preschool staff all the way up through the high school staff. It's really great to see the students recognizing the teachers. Last week I attended a program that was for the elected officials of Greene County on the opiate situation and the impact that has on the entire population of Greene County. The scary thought, or the scary thing there was, one of the presenters was the county coroner, and there is some of this synthesized opiate product out there that 1 gram can kill 5,000 people. Wow. And that's mixed into this stuff, and the drug dealers don't know how much of that is in there, and so that's why these overdose situations are ramping up to the extent that they have. Participated in the Lions Club Feeding the Team at the Senior Center, which was an enjoyable event. They sure went through a lot of sloppy Joe and mac and cheese and gallons of lemonade. Right. So. And Tuesday is Election Day. It's particularly important to go out and vote, because these are the offices that are most directly impactful for the city of Fairborn, because it's both school board and city council and mayor that are up for election. So those are where your vote counts most, and that's all I have. Yeah, please go out and vote if you haven't already early voted. So, well, that's all I have. So I will request a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Browning.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Malad.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion carries. We are adjourned.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes, thank you. The students, you need signatures on anything?